Do you know the difference between accountability and responsibility? We'll explore this in this episode. Back in 2011, I read an article in The Atlantic titled, "What Americans Keep Ignoring About Finland's School System." Now, Finland, back in 2011 especially, but even today, has one of the finest education systems by virtue of how they perform on international tests, right up there with the Chinese. But there's huge differences between them, and I'm not going to go into all of that because this is not a channel that talks about education. But Finland was all the rage, especially back in the early, around 2010, 2011. And the US, not so much. We're always kind of in the middle of the pack as far as our education system goes. So Pasi Sahlberg, and I'm probably butchering the poor guy's name, was interviewed for the article. And Sahlberg hosted about 100 visits a year from other countries that wanted to know, what their secret was to their education system. But there was one question that really caught my eye while I was reading this article, and it helped put some things into perspective for me, a better way, I guess, to communicate with executives. And the question was, how can you improve teaching if you have no accountability for bad teachers or merit pay for good teachers? And the response was very interesting to me. It included that Finland does not do any standardized national tests. Teachers basically create individual tests for students to evaluate them. Now, I want to get the rest of this right, so I want to make sure I get these quotes down because they're kind of important to this episode. But what Sahlberg said next in this article hit me right between the eyes. It gave me tremendous pause. And he said this. He says, "As for accountability, there's no word for accountability in Finnish. Accountability is something that is left when responsibility has been subtracted." Now, teachers in Finland are given prestige, they're given decent pay, and they're given lots of responsibility. Differentiating accountable to me means now that you're accountable to the system that people put you in. So when you look at your frontline employees, they don't have a lot of control typically over their work. They don't have much control over how they're motivated or paid. None of those things do they have control over. So the only thing that they can be is accountable. There is no responsibility at the frontline level. And for me, taking the view that an executive can take on their frontline employees can make or break your organization. If you look at your employees as interchangeable parts, that you can just get rid of one, we'll get the next one in at the cheapest price that we can possibly get it, then of course you're going to develop a system or have a system in place that's going to make them accountable, because you've given them no responsibility, nor are you hiring people within your organization to give them responsibility, because you're trying to hire for the cheapest as opposed to what can make your system better. So an effective executive recognizes this. And if you enjoyed this video, then please subscribe, because I find stuff like this all the time. And now I'm putting them into videos to help you and help me explain what I see executives doing to help you become a more effective executive.